All right. I think we're actually live now. Everything looks good. What's going on?
Another night in paradise. How's life in Charlotte?
Rainy, cold, freezing. Kids can't go outside because it keeps raining and then freezing over again. So yeah, having to find ways to keep them entertained indoors.
Good old Carolina January.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, the walk this morning with Russell, I think it was 19 degrees.
geez.
It
Uh,
was nice though. The you know how it is here. The geese and the ducks are all flying, and the
Where's this
sun was
global
shining
warming
this
I keep
morning. It's
hearing
like,
about? Like, come on, let's. I,
well, this was the pretty much the first cold we've had, so it's been warmer, and it's supposed to be 70 next Saturday.
yeah, I think they said we have a chance of snow this weekend, and then it's supposed to warm up again next week. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah, it
see.
goes from that. It goes from that to 70 within just a few days.
Uh, well, this week's been kind of eventful with the whole Iowa caucuses and everything. Obviously, Trump cleaned up as we assumed he would, I guess. I mean, I assume that's what you thought, right? I mean,
I was hoping for different, but the thing that I think I was more surprised than I should have been that the polls were right because the polls were very close. DeSantis
yeah.
outperformed his polls a little bit. The others were pretty much right in line. So I really didn't think it was going to be that close to what the polls were saying. So
Yeah, it was, I'll go and pull up the actual results right here because they're pretty interesting. You know, Trump 51%, so just a clear sweep. I think they were saying it was one of the biggest sweeps ever in a Republican primary like this, which I,
it was the thing that concerns me a little bit going forward is still half the people voted for somebody else in a primary where he's running as we might as well say he's running as an incumbent.
100%.
And
He is the incumbent.
an incumbent hasn't had this type of a showing before. And it's only 54,000 votes that he
Yeah,
got.
yeah.
So
It's less
I
than
know the
what it
weather
was
kept
when he
people
ran
back.
in. It's less votes cast than when he ran in 2016, right?
Yeah,
Is what they were
yeah,
saying
yeah, yeah, it was.
by
It
large.
was and it's not far out of line from some others in times past, apparently. But still, when you get less than 20% of the voting public, I really thought I'm that was another thing that surprised me. I thought there was more energy for all of the candidates than what it turned out to
But
be. But I mean, minus 48 or whatever the temperature was, I guess, can turn some people away.
well, what I will say is it that there's less enthusiasm, or it's just everyone already knows kind of who's going to win at this point, so they figured.
Well, I think that's another big part. Everybody assumed that the polls were right. Like I did not, but I think others did. And then, I'm old enough to remember after the debacle in Florida of 2000 when the press said we're never going to call a race before the voting is over again. And 30 seconds into voting with people still sitting in the caucuses before the even speeches started, every major news outlet had called the race.
Which
And so
let's be
that was ridiculous.
so let's be like, I know some people who are kind of like really pro DeSantis online were saying, "Oh, this is them trying to make sure to get Trump across the finish line." Now, I'm just kind of thinking like I really think it's just them trying to cause a bit more chaos just because why everyone wants to be the first one to report. They want ratings. It's if they can't find a story, they'll make a story. Well, guess what? Now they get to talk about it. Now they get more publicity because of it. I it's weird. I've seen kind of both sides rant about it, and it's the media being the media, right? It's the media always kind of does crap like this whenever they get a chance to. Thank you.
Yeah, and then the one odd colored little county you got there was some shenanigans going on there apparently
Well, not just that.
with
I
a
think
bunch of Democrats crossing over to vote for Haley. So I
yeah.
thought that
Well,
was interesting.
there was multiple people who had videos of people who said they were Democrats who were the ones who were speaking for Haley at the caucus, which goes to show what the real plan is. I've seen a couple people now saying this that the plan isn't to replace Joe Biden with someone on the Democrat side. It's to push Haley over the edge on the Republican side. So when she wins against Biden, then they still have someone who's establishment in power, which is hard to deny when you look at, again, her campaign. We talked about this a little bit last time where, you were saying it's crazy that normally in primaries you go right and then during the general you go a bit more moderate to the left. But in this case, Haley's just started straight on the left instead. And it's just again, with her comments on immigration, her comments that were kind of pro-Hillary, with, of course, her being all in for war in Ukraine, war in Middle East, war and just throw a dart at a map and she's for war there, basically. It's just really strange to see, but it is funny that apparently this one spot over here, which, mind you, she barely beat Trump. I mean, look at that. 35.5, both of them, she barely got over.
It was one vote. It's one vote. And what they said is and I think this is ridiculous. Republicans should control the Republican primary, the Republican
100%.
caucus, whatever it is. Democrats should not be allowed to cross over.
Oh, what? Do you hate democracy? Do you hate more people voting? Is that what it is? Because that's what I've been told is the issue.
Well, I don't think Republicans should be able to cross over into the Democrat side either. The parties should get to choose who their candidate is, and all of this. What this does is it allows for crap like this where you get interference. And I mean, Rush did it back in the day, Operation Chaos, when he was doing that against the Democrats. And of course, I thought it was funny back then, but I still think both parties should get to choose. But what they said, what was reported, was they ran out of party change forms in that one county. There were so many people coming in.
That really goes to show something about Haley's campaign for sure.
But
it is
the first meme I saw after everything had kind of fleshed itself out was after a third place finish, Nikki Haley or advocates for bombing Iowa or something along those lines. But of course, it went straight to her wanting to bomb everybody across the world.
So real quick, I got this poll because this was probably one of my favorite comments after the caucuses were done. Nikki Haley. And I'll just play it real quick. I know you've already heard it, so I guess it's okay that you can't hear the audio. But let's hear this real quick.
I can safely say tonight Iowa made this Republican primary a two-person race.
One of the weirdest third place speeches I've ever heard in my life.
You know what's funny about that is I know everyone's like, oh, she doesn't even know she came in third. No, she does. It's just she knows, or she doesn't know, but she is planning on Trump being pushed out of the election, right? That's what it is that she feels like she's sure that Trump is going to be actually pushed out before we actually get to, is it Super Tuesday, right? Super Tuesday or Thursday?
Tuesday,
yeah. So before they get there is probably when she's hoping that he'll get pushed out of the election. Then it actually will be a two-person race between her and DeSantis. That's what she's probably actually thinking. Everyone's saying, oh, she's so stupid and, doesn't know she came in third. No, it's just that she doesn't think Trump is actually going to be allowed to run. And that's the reality. Well, which, I mean, you sort of, I guess, kind of think that might happen as well, though. It's not too uncommon of a belief.
I made the prediction like a year ago that neither Trump nor Biden would win. So I'm just sticking to that because I made the prediction long ago.
Because you're just stubborn like that?
I'm just stubborn like that. But the other thing is, I didn't see it as her assuming Trump's going out. I took it as just typical gaslighting that the establishment will do. And because she knows that the media is going to memory hole everything and set her up as much as they can. Not the media, but the establishment. The media wants Trump because that's where all their dollars are going to come from.
Oh,
their
100%.
profits go through the roof when they got Trump. So we know what they can scream on the left all they want. Oh, we don't want Trump, but they talk about him every night. And if he's out of the picture, we already saw what happens to their ratings.
Well, did you see what MSNBC said about the primary when it came to Nikki Haley? About the real reason why she lost?
Well, that was Joy Reid, the ultimate racist who claims it was racism and sexism and every ism that she lost.
Yeah, she said that. What was it? They were majority. I'll just pull it up real quick because it takes like 2 seconds. Here we go. Because this is just, again, whenever Joy Reid opens her mouth, it's comedy gold because of just how stupid she is. It's pretty funny. Let me just...
New Hampshire.
And I think to the point that you made, Steph, I mean, it's the elephant in the room. She's still a brown lady that's got to try to win in a party that is deeply anti-immigrant and which accepts the notion that you can say immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. She's getting, birthered by Donald Trump. And I don't care how much the donor class likes her, which will ramp up a lot, the better she does.
Okay, so basically you get it, right? So they're, for one, if you showed anyone a picture of Nikki Haley and said, what race is she? I think most people would just say white. Let's just be real, right? I mean, do you know anyone who would assume that, like, if they didn't know anything about her, would assume that she is a person of color or whatever? Like,
I might would assume that or think that, but I mean, I don't know whether she is or isn't. It was such a dumb comment. And what's even dumber is her little leftist lapdog just sitting there just eating it all up.
oh, I know. Well, we can't criticize Joy Reid.
At all. Yeah.
She's a black woman after all. She knows more than us. So.
Well, I don't even think it's that. They wouldn't question it if you were up there saying it. They just, anything you can say that's going to be some leftist ridiculous comment, they'll lap it up.
So the funny thing is, she points out the birther thing, except in this case, it actually is very much true. Nikki Haley's parents were not citizens of the United States, and that she was born in the country and made a citizen afterwards. If you don't believe the 14th Amendment should cover birthright citizenship in the way we currently have it established, then that's 100% correct, actually. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we take away citizenship from people who already have it, but what I am saying is the 14th Amendment clearly was never meant to cover that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, Trump's not entirely wrong if he points out the fact that, you know what, really, she shouldn't technically be an American citizen, which she is. She should be treated as such, but he's not wrong for saying that.
Yeah. How much is, I mean, if all the rumors are true that that she's going to be the VP pick, or at least in the running, and he hasn't really attacked her for some strange, unusual reason, like, but of course the only one that's been attacked for this entire cycle is DeSantis. Nobody else gets attacked.
Well, I think because DeSantis was, well, let's face it, Trump goes after people who he feels have disrespected him, whether it's true or not, right? He goes after people who he feels have disrespected him. The minute he thought Cruz kind of backhanded him a bit, you remember he went after Cruz heavily. And that was funny as hell because he said, lying Ted. And the minute Cruz came around and endorsed him, or actually said, yeah, Trump's a pretty good, president overall, he starts going, I always called him Lion Ted, lion. But he is petty, right?
He didn't just attack Ted. He attacked his wife, his family. He attacked everybody. And who I supported in 16? I supported Ted.
Yeah, same here. I remember
so I was pissed at Trump.
I had my clan tag in like Halo Online to be Ted Cruz 2016. So like I had I was all about Ted Cruz. He's the still the only candidate I've actually ever donated to. I sent like $10. I was like, this is a really good election. I actually have someone who I actually really actually like for once. Why not? I'll donate one. And that was almost a terrible mistake because then I got letters and letters and letters afterwards asking for more. But to this day, he's the only candidate I've actually ever donated to. So I'm a big Ted Cruz fan, and it hurt me when he sat there and went after him the way he did. But again, Trump is petty. We know that. DeSantis, I'm not going to say like everyone else does that he stabbed him in the back. I don't think he actually stabbed him in the back, but he did kind of disrespect him just a little bit with the way he's handled the campaign overall. And so Trump's going to go after him. Because how has Haley really disrespected Trump in any way that is out of, different from what was to be expected, right? That's kind of thing.
Well, the thing that upsets me about a little bit from DeSantis, some from Haley, but when they attack him using the same language that the left attacks him,
I know
that really makes me angry.
Well, that's what
attack him for what we don't like about him. Attack him for the vaccine and his and Fauci and the things that we don't like. Don't attack him. Don't bring up the stuff that we already know has been disproven in our lives. And for God's sake, don't call him an insurrectionist, because that we know that's a freaking lie, bigger than any lie that there could possibly be.
Well, that's the thing is, DeSantis hasn't really, I don't think he's ever really gone straight out and called him any of that, but he has tiptoed around it and not directly said the people of January 6th, for the most part, should be pardoned, and Donald Trump had nothing to do when it came to any of the rioting that did take place. He hasn't been direct about it one bit. He's kind of just tiptoed around and kind of allowed the media to keep pushing this same narrative of someone who, frankly, I'm going to say this, even though I know Trump will never do it, but he should be somewhat trying to defend a fellow Republican. I know Trump will never defend a fellow Republican. I know Trump doesn't give a damn. He even came out and attacked Vivek before the caucus actually happened, which was kind of funny. And then I think Vivek handled it the way he was supposed to, of saying, disappointed to see, wish he wouldn't do that sort of stuff. I mean, the reality is we need someone young and new and still pushing the MAGA agenda, and that's me. Kind of the simple standard message. If DeSantis went that route, I think things would be a lot better, but I don't know. I think Trump just really feels pissed that DeSantis didn't wait his turn, Even though, let's face it, his hands were kind of forced by the fact that he'll no longer be governor of Florida and he can't run again. So his political light was very much fading very quickly. So he kind of had to at least try. But I worry he has ruined his entire future political career because, again, 2028 would have been great.
He hasn't ruined his political career. Everything he does well, except for facial expressions.
I'm happy, can't you tell?
And maybe fashion choice, but other than that, even last night, he's on CNN. I wish it had gone somewhere else where people would actually see it, but it's the most presidential person from any party that you will see, that we have seen in any election for a long time. He's competent. He's competent. He's confident. He's just awkward, and we got to look past that because he's still the only sane choice in this race.
Like you said before, you're stubborn.
I'm stubborn. Well, I'm not. Well, I'm going to be stubborn here because he's the best choice. It's obvious. It's so plainly obvious that he's the best choice.
I mean, my problem with him still, again, like you said, yeah, he's awkward and everything, but you say that he's very presidential. My issue is he's presidential and you're very standard establishment environments. Again, he does everything right when he's placed in those environments. He does push back the media pretty well. All of his policies have been pretty much great when it came to Florida, besides very few, and everyone wants to point the very few ones, but no one ever wants to talk about the fact.
What else do you want?
I agree, but I also want him to help push on the cultural side. What he needs to be doing is getting away from CNN and stop going through the establishment methods and instead allow his people, because the campaign has said, we are not allowing anyone to go on Glenn Beck, on Daily Wire, on Tim Pool, on any of these actual, new age media sources. And instead they're sticking with the Fox News, CNN, MSNBC garbage that we need to be pushing and breaking away from. And
well, that's dumb. And when they opened up on X, and you think, oh, this is going to be a different style campaign. But
then it wasn't. The opening on X was terrible. It was the worst announcement, I think, for president I have almost ever seen, because
that's it, and that's if you could see it, because of the technical issues and everything else that went around it too. So it could have gone off perfectly, and it still would have been an atrocious opening, because he still read out like a speech, like he would if he was in front of a crowd. Like, he doesn't know how to properly do an online message too well, and so it comes across robotic and bad and with no visuals at all. I mean, it just compare that to when Obama announced he was running, right? Like, we can't stand him as a president, but the man had style, and that's what got him across the finish line. We always hate this, but the reality is people do vote for the person they want to have a beer with. And I despise it. I absolutely hate the fact that's how we are, because it shows just how stupid of a country we are. If only Ron and Casey would have come down an escalator, it all would have been just fine to make some grand announcement with all fluff.
Just a simple rally would have done it, and then stream it on X. That's all you had to do, is do a rally and stream it on X, stream it on Rumble, stream it on YouTube, stream it on all these, media sites that are away from the mainstream media. The mainstream media can report however they want to, but make that your opening. I don't know why they did just an audio thing on Twitter or X. Back then I guess it was still Twitter.
So when are you founding the Heavyweight Politics Media Group?
Let's see, when we hit maybe 50,000 subscribers.
Why wait? You gotta wait for the perfect time. You got an idea. You know how to promote these campaigns. Pick somebody there local right now that you're gonna help in Charlotte cross the finish line. Pick somebody deep red in that hardcore blue cesspool that you live in Mecklenburg County.
I was talking with some of the people who run some of the Republican groups around here at one point, and it was funny because they were like, okay, we need someone who can, some of them were trying to go that route of saying we need someone who can appeal to both sides, yada yada, all that bull crap. And I said, no, all you need to do is like only 2% of people vote for stuff like city council, right? Almost no one shows up for these damn elections ever.
Well, not just city council, not just AOC won with like 8 votes.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
So what's that? So there was a funny story I heard Tim Pool talking about. He was over, I think, is it Barrow, Alaska, right? I think you've been over there. Apparently that's not the city's actual name, right?
No, I didn't know that.
So it was like 5-6 years ago, something like that, where like 40 to 80 people or so got together and tried to push forward a bill to change it like some Native American name. And those like 80 voters actually apparently got it through. And so the city's technically like some weird Native American word I can't pronounce. But everything just still says it because no one knew the election even took place. But on all official documents, it's not Barrow, Alaska.
Nope,
but that's my point. You don't need a lot of people to vote. And that's what I was trying to tell them was what you need to do is just go out there and just talk to. It doesn't matter if Republicans make up 10% of the city, you can still win these local elections because no one votes.
Yeah, get
right?
10% true believers and you can change the world.
Exactly. And you see that when it comes to actually all throughout history where it's only like, 3 to 5% of people who actually push forward these big events typically. It doesn't take a lot of people.
Like we just said, 54,000 people out of how many million?
Was it the first French Revolution that was led up by like a bunch of fishwives that just marched on the palace just because they were pissed, like with a bunch of like butcher knives and stuff like that? It was like one of the revolutions they had.
We got the perfect example with the low turnout in Iowa, and you go all the way back to the first French Revolution.
But it's true. It's just it doesn't matter how far back in history you go. It's always a small amount of the population who creates a massive impact for the entire country, no matter where you look. So you don't really need a lot.
Group of true believers.
Well, it's funny. So again, when I was talking to Republicans here in Charlotte, though, one thing I was saying, because they were saying we need people who can actually work in the work and get stuff passed. I went, no, BS. You don't need any of that. What you need is someone who can just be a thorn in their side. That's all. Because here's the thing: no matter what Republican you elect in a place like this, they're going to have no impact. It's going to be like they're not even there. So why not elect someone in there who would just piss them off? All right, if they're going to screw over the people in the city, send someone over there who can screw with them back.
Well, it's not that. What you want them to do is to highlight what's going on, because the real people who don't show up to vote need to really know what's going on behind their back. They need to know the crap that's going on in the schools. And you saw what happened in Virginia and other places when that came to light.
But a lot of that gets shown when you don't have people who are just trying to work within the system. And instead you have people who go there and say, hey, everyone, look at what this person over here is doing. Hey, everyone, I'm going to call a floor vote where we're going to make sure that we actually have to read the bills before we vote on them, and everyone can come and see what's being said.
I don't call that a thorn or being antagonistic. I call that just shining the light.
Doing your job.
Shining the light of truth. Yeah, do your job.
Yeah. But there was that kind of mantra with a lot of Republicans where it is, let's try to get someone who can actually work within the system and get stuff done. And I get the idea that, hey, if we all work together, it'll be so nice. But we don't need to work together with people who think it's okay to castrate children. Like, I'm sorry, I don't care what they have to say on an issue. Ignore them, push forward what you want done. Do the big ask and settle somewhere on the right instead of going for the middle and settling on the left like we keep doing over and over. I do worry with the way DeSantis' campaign runs sometimes that there's a chance he might end up doing that if he became president. I don't think so because of his record in Florida, but when he runs his campaign the way he does, it makes even me just kind of wonder. Because he does walk that line in the establishment, like media circuits.
Well, I don't know. Their media strategy has been off. I'll agree there, but I don't think it has anything to do or any indication of how he would govern. We've got a track record of governance that is par excellence. It is right where it needs to be. So past performance is an indication of future performance. So I think it's just a poor media team, and which is odd because he's throughout most of the career here, we've seen him surround himself with really great people. I think there was a misfire on the hiring.
Well, I think a lot of those people he surrounded
himself. And I'm being generous.
I think a lot of those people he surrounded himself that were really good in Florida, though, a lot of them were pretty Trump heavy people. And so when he announced for president, I don't think a lot of them wanted to come aboard because they were already set on Trump as is. Because, I mean, a lot of Trump supporters love DeSantis. Before DeSantis decided to run, they were all about DeSantis. And for good reason. I mean, DeSantis, again, like you said, did a great job as governor. But
I don't know. Election years are always interesting, and there's going to be a lot to talk about over the next, 8 months.
I will say this. Get him a good, just social interaction coach of some kind, and he'll be solid. So he doesn't keep falling into these dumb traps like what Laura Loomer set for him. I mean, I know she's a
lunatic, man.
100%. She is the definition of Trump cultist. She is the definition of Trump cultist, 100%. But I will say this. You know what her gimmick is. You know her whole gimmick is, oh, you're going to run away from me. Da, 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 da. We've seen Vivek on stage do this with people all the time when protesters show up and he starts, no, come on up, let's talk. And he does, and he makes them look like complete fools for their just derangement they have against him while he stays calm and just joking around and stuff like that. But Ron doesn't know how to, he doesn't know how to joke around. And so he can't pull that same kind of behavior with someone like Laura Loomer.
Are you certain that he's the one making it happen? Now, after the first time, you would think he would say, let's don't do that anymore. But but again, is it just a misfire from the team? I don't know the answer. But you mentioned earlier, getting him a coach to try to make him something he's not. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think to be sincere, you've got to be you. And he's a little socially awkward, and he is who he is. He's a great administrator, a great governor. Be him. And so I think where he gets into those troubles where his face makes all those unusual things is when he's trying to be something that he's not. Just be comfortable with who you are and be the best that you can be, and he'd be a whole lot better off and look natural doing it.
And just stop with the really dumb attempt at jokes sometimes. What was it? Hey, DeSantis, there's some questions about how you pronounce your name. How do you pronounce it? You pronounce it as winner. Come on, that's just, it hurts almost to even say. I know Trump has said a lot of dumb things, but when he goes up on stage and goes, who installed these lights? They're making me look orange. I don't need any more help with that. I'm gonna make sure they're fired and all that stuff. It seems so natural and fun, but it just
it is natural for him. See, again, that's who he is. He's the consummate entertainer.
So I will say this. What do you think about the fact that now Nikki Haley has said no more debates whatsoever unless she's sharing a stage with Trump or Biden? Because I thought this was kind of a bold move on her part, but kind of makes sense considering the fact she kind of keeps getting raked over the coals every time she's in a debate.
Yeah, well, I mean, DeSantis keeps just wiping the mat with her. But again, that's why I thought that speech was more of a gaslighting speech and just trying to let the media come behind her and push DeSantis out. And so I think this is part of their strategy of leveraging a very friendly media to get position. And she knows that right now she does have the advantage over DeSantis in New Hampshire, even though it's so small, it's really irrelevant.
But I mean, most other states, it looks like her polling's pretty low, right, compared to DeSantis?
Except for New Hampshire. So what she's hoping is New Hampshire gives her a boost, which is weird to be hoping that New Hampshire will give you a boost in your own home state. But you noticed if you did notice, DeSantis went straight from Iowa to South Carolina first, because he's got the advantage over her right now in her own home state, and then he went to New Hampshire.
I would say that's really sad for her, but at the same time, I think Trump has the advantage over DeSantis in his home state. So,
well, I didn't bring Trump up in either one of those because
that's true.
Right now it's between she and DeSantis and who's going to win. So I really think that this is just further an attempt to leverage a very friendly media to help push him out.
I mean, I get it. Just every polling I've seen in almost every other state, it shows her so far behind. And the fact is, again, like you said, the polling turned out to be actually right in Iowa. Shockingly so. I think the polling was showing Vivek at 8% and he got 7.7. They showed everyone pretty dead on, actually.
Yeah, and the DeSantis camp is talking about how he overperformed. He did, but it was only by a couple of points. It wasn't
it was within the margin of error.
Yeah, it wasn't like a true overperformance in my mind. It was, to me, it was in line with the polling.
If you're within the margin of error, you did not overperform. You performed. That's just, if I say you're going to win by 10 to 13 points and you win by 12, you did not overperform. You performed in accordance with what I said.
Right. But of course
But he has to say it. He has to say it.
Yeah, that's always been the strategy is you come out and you leverage any positive you can leverage. And so that's the way they've always done.
And his speech was solid.
In the past, when there's a bunch of people, the fifth place person could come in and say, hey, listen, we were eighth, but now we're fifth and we're on the rise. And so it's the way it's always been done.
Oh yeah, of course.
This isn't Haley's isn't. This is truly this one feels different. This to me again is just a move where I got all these folks. I know I'm going to get the press on my side. I'm going to use it to
listen. When Joy Reid
Joy
Reid's defending you, I mean, come on, you got the press on your side.
Yes,
but we are
won't.
now.
But in 2016, it was the liberal press that pushed Trump across the finish line. In
100%
primary.
Piper Candid, 100%.
He was on Morning Joe every freaking morning, and then as soon as he got the nomination, they shut him out, and they turned on him, and Hillary ran the Russian campaign against him, and all the things that went against him. But they guaranteed that he was going to win the primary because they thought they could just beat him easily. So the reason now that they're pushing Haley over anybody else is they know Trump can beat her easily, and they think again that they really believe that Trump is the only candidate that Biden can beat.
Which I just think that's so idiotic for just the reason of that takes out the Trump cultists, which are a major part of, I kind of hate this, but it is a major part of the Republican base. And you're telling me that they're not going to just all turn away from whatever candidate that gets pushed out if Trump goes out because of, court cases or anything like that. If Trump lost fair and square in the primaries, I think enough people would go, fine, we'll deal. But
if he goes out for any other reason, don't you think he will come around and pick somebody to throw some support behind? Or do you think he's going to go out with burn the whole thing down?
He's gonna go burn the whole thing down, probably. Come on. You want to see an actual insurrection? Listen, there was no actual insurrection on January 6th. However, if Trump wanted to cause one, he has the base to do it.
Yeah, I'm afraid he'd go with the burn it down route too. I was trying to be kind.
No, he's a burn it down. He is if I can't win, I'm taking it home, basically, he turns off the console if he's losing at a game of, I was about to say GoldenEye for some reason. I was replaying that for some reason. That's an old one. I'm dating myself with that, but
is that in your repertoire now for a game review that's coming up or something, or
not currently? I think I have I think right now I have that game Jedi Outcast on my next one, so that was a good one.
I predate the console, and so for me, whatever board game I happen to look like I might lose, I would flip the board game, because if you can't finish, you can't lose.
And Monopoly, which makes sense because the government runs the banks anyway, so playing Monopoly, or if you want to use a Monopoly analogy, going against the government's like playing a game of Monopoly against someone who actually runs the bank and keeps sliding 20s in their pocket the whole game. But yeah, so he would burn the whole thing down. He's vindictive. He despises anything that if he feels he's been cheated, he lets the world know, which isn't entirely a bad quality all in all, but sometimes there's what's the thing Ben Shapiro says? He'll swing his hammer around, and sometimes he'll hit a nail, but other times he'll hit a baby, which is very true of Trump. Like his whole, I'll be a dictator, but only for a day, what the media's doing with that. Come on, man. Like, I know you're not serious, but stop giving them free ammunition against you, please.
Putin, if you're listening, check out her emails.
Yeah, the Democrats will do the same thing when it comes to asking other countries. They did. The whole Russia collusion thing was it was an FBI agent who was looking at a dossier compiled by some dude like in England from like a Ukrainian source or some crazy crap like that. And the thing is that they'll do all that stuff behind the scenes.
Or how about old Shifty Schiff taking the phone call from the scammers that were telling them they had pictures?
Yeah. And of course,
he was happy to take it.
And not only that, but then he also going out on all the news networks saying, "I have seen the proof. I have seen the proof he was colluding. And of course, nothing happens from that. You know, we'll sit there and cast out Republicans for, I mean, pretty dumb reasons all the time in Congress. But of course, you know, Congress, Senate, whatever, whenever the Democrats do anything that's that appalling, whether it be pulling fire alarms, whether it be straight up lying to the American people, claiming that you have seen classified documents that do not actually exist.
Well, how about sleeping with Chinese spies?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
How about marrying your brother?
Committing immigration fraud with it, it looks like. Yeah, we will never, because we keep saying, oh, but we don't want to cause, you know, undue, you know, stress between the two parties. We want to get along and get things done. You get things done when you cast out these idiots and actually make them play the same game we're playing. Again, what I always say is it's wrong to go and punch someone in the face. That's always a wrong thing to do. Unless they punched you first. In which case, slug away, okay? If they're going to punch you in the face, don't worry about being nice. Punch them back. Do the same thing to them. Again, I keep saying this every single time. All these terrible court cases against Trump that make absolutely no sense whatsoever. Where's the court cases against Biden? Where is the Republican, you know, AGs in all these states saying, especially like Texas right now, and saying, hey, Biden has committed treason against the country because he's just allowing all these illegal immigrants and he's trafficking all these people, and we're going to bring them in for trafficking charges. How's that? It doesn't matter if they stick. It's about holding him up because they're doing that to Trump. Play their same game. But we never do. We never do.
You got to find a friendly. It's harder for us to find the friendly court system and the friendly panel of judges than it is for them.
But you don't have to. It could be anywhere. It could be literally anywhere. Find a county that has, you know, like 80% Republican. It could be a nowhere county. Who cares? It doesn't have to be a place like New York. It doesn't have to be a place like LA. It could be, you know, nowhere street, North Carolina. It doesn't matter. Just all of them need to start filing charges. Who cares? And let them just go through the process. I mean, most of them won't do anything, but it doesn't matter because guess what? They still have to actually go through the forms. What's the saying? The process is the punishment, right? Now, obviously, you can't say that when you're the one who's filing the charges, but let's be real. That's what they're doing. Do it back to them.
Pretty much, no matter where you are, what is the old saying? You can indict a
ham sandwich.
Ham sandwich.
Or the other saying, they're saying of show me the man, I'll show you the crime.
Well, now that was always the joke on communist countries, but that's definitely where we are with Trump right now.
I mean, it's 100% true. I mean, I think they've even said that there's been like studies that show that the average American commits multiple felonies a year. It's just a matter of the fact of, you know, there are laws that we don't really care to enforce typically. I think the one that a lot of people point out the fact of is it's technically illegal for a woman to go skydiving on Sunday in Florida. Like that's on the books to be illegal, and is anyone going to go arrest you if you do it? No. But it does go to show that culture is more important than law in many cases, because if people don't want a law enforced, they just won't enforce the law typically. But you have to make sure you have a strong culture around that.
There used to be, and I mean, I know there still are, but in a lot of presentations we would bring up like things from books of unusual laws that were still in the books. There was always some weird ones that were out there.
Yeah, I think I used some of them in my marketing days for Liberty when I was helping some of their offices. I think I used some of them to get some of our competitors to have their signs taken down in areas where, you know, on very just laws that made almost no sense to be on the books in the first place.
I would just use them as jokes that you could bring up in the middle of a presentation to lighten the light.
And I use it to crush our competitors. All right, so we talked about Nikki Haley, we talked about DeSantis, and we should probably mention Vivek here too, because like we said, he got 8%.
But before we get off DeSantis, everybody go look at the CNN town hall last night, because again, very presidential. He
did a very good job.
He's the only sane choice.
Again, if it's that kind of format, he does excellent at 100%, which means he would also do a very good job in most cases being president as well, because that's kind of the format you're going to be in a lot of cases, right? I mean, again, I would like it if the president, instead of always doing the same old media circuit, said, hey, you know, I'm going to be on, you know, again, like the Glenn Beck show or whatever. Just pick your favorite. I'm going to go, I'm not sure if Michael Savage still has a radio show currently or not, but I want to go on the radio show with Michael Savage. Just pick any of them, right? that to me is what I would like to see. But let's face it, even Trump doesn't do that, right? Trump loves the mainstream media when it comes to doing his interviews, which be absolutely bewildering.
In the modern times, and I guess over my lifetime, the first one I remember doing it was Clinton. He'd go on like Phil Donahue and the talk shows of the time, Arsenio and that sort of stuff. And
well, I mean,
that
even
was
Obama,
that was like scandalous. That was scandalous back in the early 90s, late 80s, that time frame.
Well, you know, Obama was smart. He did tons of interviews with YouTubers. He did like some with that Glozell chick, which did like interviews while she sat in like a bathtub of milk and cereal, like stupid crap like that. And I mean, I'm not saying you go that route, but at the same time, it was smart of Obama to do. And because of that, he had a strong support base when it came to younger voters because of that. Vivek has a strong younger, support base because he went on TikTok, he went on YouTube, he went on all these other.
You say that, but in the Iowa returns, who won the 18 to 24 vote?
Wasn't it still Trump?
No, it was DeSantis.
Was DeSantis really? I thought Trump.
That was the only age group that he won.
Well, wow. I'm actually really surprised at that.
Yeah.
Good for DeSantis, actually. That's actually really good to hear. Because again, we need people. Again, one of the things I do like about DeSantis is he is a younger guy, and we need more younger people actually running for president anyway. We need to stop having 80-year-olds lead the country.
So your granddaddy, he's at the point where he'll go, yeah, he's still a young man, and he'll be talking about somebody that's like 76 or 77. But yeah, we probably should get out of the 70s and let's go. Let's find some people 40s, 50s, 60s.
Hey, Granddaddy might be near 90, but he still has a sharper mind than Biden by a mile.
So does that microphone.
Well, again, so yeah, everyone should go check out that DeSantis CNN town hall. He did do a good job with it. But let's go over to Vivek real quick because, again, we're getting 8%, not what he wanted to see, obviously, not what I wanted to see either. But at the same time, it makes sense. A lot of his supporters are also Trump supporters, and most of them probably wouldn't just go vote Trump, right? I mean, let's be real. A lot of the people who really like Vivek also really like Trump. And are they going to, quote, waste their vote on Vivek, right? So, yeah, he got 8%, decided to actually drop out of the race, and wound up endorsing President Trump pretty much immediately with a very strong endorsement, really, of just saying, this race only had two candidates who really cared about America, me and Donald Trump. And you know what? If the voters have decided that I'm not the person to lead at this time, we need to put all of our support behind Donald Trump. I mean, it was a very good way of getting on Trump's good side, 100%.
And then immediately he's arm in arm with them on stage at the very next event that they had together. So they didn't waste any time.
It was funny. Right after he did too, I'm not sure if you saw this, Ted Cruz has now also endorsed Trump at this point again, which I was thinking Ted Cruz might kind of stay out of it slightly just because Ted Cruz does get along with DeSantis as far as I know. And so I was kind of wondering how that would work with him. But right now you have like my two favorite politicians, if you can count Vivek as a politician, going and endorsing Trump. I mean, I know who you're going to vote in the primary. I know you're going to vote DeSantis, even though by the time it reaches North Carolina, it doesn't matter. But
all right, man.
Do what?
All right, man.
Again, stubborn. But I have to say, now at this point, I'll probably end up voting Trump.
You're part of the problem. You need to be part of the solution.
Hey, you know what? I think Trump surrounds himself with the right people right now, at least. He didn't so much when he first ran, but I do think he has the understanding at this point. Now, the funny thing is, you mentioned Vivek being arm in arm with Trump. Did you see that video, kind of like the awkward handshake sort of with him?
I don't think I saw that. I did see the Babylon Bee meme, but I don't think I saw the handshake.
Oh, yes. I wonder if I can pull that up real quick, because that was actually a really funny meme. Yeah, and again...
Funny? What do you mean funny? It was racist.
If Vivek can laugh at it, then I can laugh at it. Isn't that how it works?
That's what I thought. Of course, I'm Gen X. We laugh at everything.
Vivek Trump promises Vivek an administrative role running the White House 7-Eleven.
The first person that got that joke was Biden himself.
Oh, yeah. With if you go into a 7-Eleven, you have to have a slight Indian accent. Well, I do love is if you notice, there's like some
go back
people
to the awkward handshake. I didn't mean. I'm always sending you down rabbit holes. I didn't see the handshake.
All right, let me try to pull this up real quick because it was one of those things where Vivek gave this great speech, in support of Trump right there on stage with him, and Trump kind of alluded to having Vivek work for him later on, which is, I think, just a way to court his voters, obviously. But here's the. Oh, nope, that's actually not the right video. Where's a good one here? You think it won't be this hard to find it? Original is everywhere about his whole speech. Let's type in Vivek Trump and see what we get. But it's funny because this is kind of what a lot of people said he was running for anyway, just running for a position to
This man right here, and that is
okay. Here we go. I'll make it a bit smaller, that way it can actually be seen easier. Well, no. All right,
this
we'll do
man
full
right
screen.
here, and that is why I am asking you to do the right thing as the New Hampshire primary. God bless you and your families, and may God bless our United States of America. Thank you, New Hampshire. It's good to see you guys. We're coming back and winning this in a landslide. We will not stop until we get this job done. Thank you all. God bless you and your families.
So first off, I just love the whole going in for like the more millennial style of like, hey, what's going on and all that kind of stuff. And Trump just going to standard. Yes. But then if you notice, they're like kind of like jostling for like that alpha style position a lot. Anytime Trump starts patting him on the side, he's like, yeah, and he starts patting him back on the side. Like, it's just kind of clear that they're both kind of that kind of alpha mentality in a way. Oh, actually, wait 1 second. I'll play Trump's words about Vivek here real quick.
Well, it did look like they were going in for a kiss.
Thank you. Wow, how was that? Pretty good, right? That was pretty good, and he's a fantastic